All right, everyone. Thank you for joining me here, October 25th, 2023. We're going to run up a live session late night, per usual these days. And we've been staying busy. I hope you guys are doing well. God bless all of you as we join here tonight. Big session to break it down here. I'm going to share this one out on X real quick, and then I'm going to get right on into it. Thank you so much, everyone. All righty. So we titled this one, America, World War III, and XRP. We've been talking about this, all part of a falling empire here in the United States of America. Internal chaos, external chaos, caught in all of these skirmishes, all of these operations, occupations, call it whatever you want. Today we come with breaking news. So before I get into the charts here, I'm going to share the update on the current event that is taking place right now as we speak. Pretty incredible stuff here. Once again, we've been warning about the energy picking up here as we enter this election cycle, the events, the dramatic play and world stage that we're watching and observing, trying to decode on a daily basis, trying to relate it back to just being a regular guy trying to feed his family, right? That's where we, try to bring this back to on a daily basis. Today, unfortunately, we have to report on an update here, current situation that is breaking down as we speak. And so we're going to watch this breaking. 80 people have now been confirmed to be shot, with 22 confirmed dead. Numbers are likely to rise as the suspect is still at large, and we're talking about a shooting incident taking place in Maine. Now, apparently, we got to be careful here. There's a video that is currently circulating around, falsely claiming that the suspect has been arrested or captured. The police have not apprehended the active shooter as he is still at large. So once again, this is a developing, breaking story. I'm coming to you guys live here at 8 o'clock on the West Coast. We're going to run up a session here. I hate to start it with that type of energy, so I wanted to follow that up with some strength, with a little interesting situation and some bold statements coming out here of our new Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. That's Representative Mike Johnson, Republican out of Louisiana. And he is now our House Speaker. And we're trying to figure out where this gentleman stands on the issues. In America, we are fighting for, as they ran last, cycle, for the soul of this nation. There's a reason why. Was it Kamala that said that? There's a reason why they said that, right? That's what this is. There's a battle for the soul of our nation. And this is getting pretty interesting, folks. So the current Speaker of the House is now going to be Mike Johnson, this gentleman right here. And I'm going to play his clip. And I wanted to ask you guys the question. I mean, do you guys think it's a stretch to say that it's biblical? Do you think that it's a stretch to say this is pretty incredible? We have religious war. We have, world war over resources, commodities, currencies. Back home at the United States, we have a falling empire from within. It's really crazy out here. And I just saw this post here tonight from an old friend, Val Jester Locke, on Twitter. Classic. Revelations 17:17. Interesting. For God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. Interesting verse there. And I'm going to play this clip here from Mike Johnson. This is your current Speaker of the House, just elected here today.
We do know that the founders told us to take good care of it. I want to tell all my colleagues here what I told the Republicans in that room last night. I don't believe there are any coincidences in a matter like this. I believe that Scripture, the Bible, is very clear that God is the one that raises up those in authority. He raised up each of you, all of us. And I believe that God has ordained and allowed each one of us to be brought here for this specific moment in this time. This is my belief. I believe that each one of us has a huge responsibility today to use the gifts that God has given us to serve the extraordinary people of this great country, and they deserve it, and to ensure that our republic remains standing as the great beacon of light and hope and freedom in a world that desperately needs it. We do know that the founders to take...
Yeah, so he comes across as a very slick, very smooth, and you like what you hear type of guy. but that's the same type of talk that I get out of Vivek. That's the same type of talk that we get out of many politicians. I mean, there are many politicians that are just downright stupid. Their program's a complete failure, and I stand by that 100%. That's not politics. That's failing with your program. And we see it time and time again, and we know what their agenda is about. It's about control. And we got, unfortunately, at the helm, we don't even know who's really running this show right now. You guys know that. But we're going to be watching this in the United States. This thing's deteriorating fast, and the energy's just picking up even more, right? We have another year here to finish off this election cycle. We've been talking about this next election since 2020, right? Right after the initial votes were tallied and the deal was done, and Trump stepped back, right? We've been watching this situation in America really take a turn for the worse. And now we find ourselves spread thin. That's my main point. No matter who you want to support, no matter what program you want to implement, our country's bust. The excursions across the Middle East that we wasted trillions on, the billions and tens of billions and hundreds of billions that we're potentially going to be sending to Ukraine, and now we got to send more to Israel than we already do. Okay, someone's got to check the balance sheet here. I think we have an issue. That's common sense. That's not political. That's not religious. And so that's where I keep on bringing this back to on a daily basis. How do we decode this reality? What's taking place? All this chaos, all the distractions. Who's going to be our chosen, selected, they call it an election. Appears to me that we got some operatives with an agenda that have been put in place for sure. And we are seeing a clearing out in D.C. It's very interesting here in the United States. And the good thing about the United States, you have to remember this. We are so massive, and we also have individual sovereignty within the states. This is the powerful thing about the United States of America, is that some of these states have implemented a program that's completely opposite of what you're seeing on mainstream headline America media and, kind of what the world sees. The world sees and thinks that our whole situation here is, LA on the West Coast and New York on the East Coast and DC, and that's it. They forget that we have a really massive country, and in Missouri, they're doing a little bit different of a program than they are in some of these crazy cities that are just going to hell in a handbasket. And so, as always, I just ask God to carry us through and to keep on giving us the opportunity to show up here and take advantage of the greatest transfer of wealth in world history and show up as leaders in our community, in our businesses, in our families to really make it happen, right? The storm is here. We've entered a serious situation, and I'm going to get into the markets here today. Today was another reflection of where we're at in the timeline. It was a flight to quality with what little money there is left, and there's significant amount left on the top elite class, ready to invest big time, ready to buy the blood in the streets for the coming years to come, right? And this is Warren Buffett's and the others that are sitting on record amounts of cash. There's a reason for that. They're ready to move. And if and you got to consider the treasury bonds that they bought up too as this another cash position that is liquid for them, or at least it was. Now we see the bond market going bust, and this has, this is screwing up the billionaires, this is screwing up the bankers, this is screwing up everybody. But what we're going to break down right now is the markets here today confirm what we've been talking about, a flight to quality, as Larry Fink confirmed, a flight to quality as he described it, right? This is what took place here today. Stocks down, cryptocurrency hanging strong, actually, did that incredible pump earlier this week and has maintained. And we see that gold was up, oil was up, and the DXY cooled off. We're going to show you guys the charts right now and get right into the episode. If you guys haven't already, please make sure that we smash that thumbs up. And if I could ask a favor, please, it really helps get the message out far and wide by just sharing this on X, sharing this wherever you got friends, families, loved ones, and let's get everyone tapped in here, right? I really hope that I can make a change for folks as we finish off this bear market and we head into the bull market. I want to impact as many lives as possible. It's not just about crypto. This is about so much more. And our opportunity is here. And it's tough to continue to stay focused with, the world around us really burning down, distractions every turn, and staying disciplined, staying locked in, and keeping the faith right now when life presents new challenges, right, is difficult. But that's what I see in our community. That's what I try to shine out to you guys and project onto you guys, is that our energy remains strong. We remain vigilant. Is it all roses, sunshine, and like I joke about happy slappy days here on the West Coast of the United States? But we know the real situation. We stay ready and we stay prepped and we stay praying. And so let's get right on into it, guys. Let's take a look at the markets to get started here. Cryptocurrency hanging out sideways, 34,758 for Bitcoin, 1795 for Ethereum, and XRP at a 55. 55.5 for XRP. Let's look at the charts. Bitcoin, daily. We're looking at daily charts here, folks. Daily chart, Bitcoin hanging out here, started a new day. This fresh candle that you're seeing right now is for the 26th, which depending on where you're at in the world, it might not be the 26th yet, but by the timeline that the markets are on, we have entered a new trading day, right? So that's the 26th. Yesterday, we see that we remained up here at this 34 to 35K level. Watching this thing closely. Got back up to 35K briefly again yesterday, okay? So it looks like 35,000 is our new resistance, and we'll be watching this one closely. As always, I think it's a Bitcoin bull trap rally, but that doesn't get me clicks, that doesn't get me views, but I want to give you guys the truth. XRP is going to get dragged down with it, unfortunately. 55 cents, we're watching it right now, and this thing can continue up further. But remember, we're coming up here in a few days on our Harvest Hunters full moon, and that's going to be a lunar eclipse, back-to-back eclipses. Get ready for your next sacrifice. I forgot DXY was actually back up today. DXY was back up today. There is a flight to dollar right now, which is why the DXY is hanging out there at 106. And 2-year treasury, hanging strong here at about 5.1%. Your 10-year was back up big time yesterday. That's your candle, yes, or basically today, I should say, the 25th. It's 8 o'clock here on the West Coast, 11 o'clock Eastern. Big candle here today for the 10-year, back up to 4.96. And remember, this is where your mortgage rates are based off of. It's one of the key factors is they take a look at that 10-year and they base it off of that, okay? Now, your UK Brent oil, worldwide oil, was back up. It did, come back down here to finish off the week, and then to start off this week, we were back down. But we're getting a little bit of a bounce back here for oil. We did see that silver was hanging out basically sideways, along with gold back up. Gold back up yesterday, and now we're at 1983 for gold. Once again, your silver's at 22.82, so just below 23 bucks. But we have gotten a significant rally right the last week there and through the beginning of October. Love to see it. Stocks, and speaking of getting sacrificed, NVIDIA got set up here once again. Last couple days it had climbed, and we'd been noting that, right? That NVIDIA had been climbing back up to about 437 here. But then, just gets cleaned out after hours. 417 right now is what we got brought back down here today. 417. So NVIDIA smacked once again. And remember, we're already in correction territory, essentially. Back down about 18.5% is what we already did. And we've double tapped on this level of about 410. So we'll be watching that one. But NVIDIA back down today. And then I had to adjust all my charts here for the S&P 500 because that one got smacked today. S&P down. Dow, I had to do the same thing. Big one. Love to see it. Smacked. Flight to quality. So what's dumping? Dow, S&P 500, NVIDIA smacked. And total cryptocurrency market cap remaining strong. Bitcoin dominance still climbing. Okay, so they say flight to quality. The narrative with the Bitcoin bros is hilarious right now. I'm just getting a hoot listening to these guys in these Bitcoin spaces. And I got to say, the diversity in the X spaces that I heard today was pretty incredible. I see a super chat from my good friend XRP Blinder with the 5 spot. If you stare at Zach's red shirt for 60 seconds and then quickly look up at the wall, an image of a red folder appears in your vision. Oh my gosh, I got to take... Cheers, brother. That's a good one. Yeah, I was wondering if this one was going to contrast too much, the bright red. You know, I'm always trying to find something new for you guys, and you guys clown me. You guys clown me either way, so that's always fun. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Let's keep it rocking and rolling, folks. So that's where we're at on the charts here today. Flight to quality, absolutely. Let's get into it. Let's go. So we're going to start here with the Wall Street Journal. This is why I said America is entering World War III. It's not just our money. It's not just our weapons. Iranian-backed militias mount new wave of attacks as U.S. supports Israel. Our good men and women are under attack right now, folks. This is not a joke. We still have the hostage situation in the Israel-Gaza situation, right? But what we have right here is unfortunate. We have bases in Iraq and Syria both being attacked, right? And this is essentially proxy forces attacking U.S. personnel after Tehran raised the risk of a larger Middle East conflict in recent days by unleashing the regional militias it has spent years arming. Now, this is what we were worried about, right? Is America is now getting drug in, and yes, sure enough, we still have bases in Iraq and Syria, right? It's incredible, and now it's really happening. We had 10 drone attacks, and I'd originally reported this, and then I thought that it was fake news, so I corrected myself. But now I'm seeing it here in the Wall Street Journal, so I'm going to assume that this actually did happen. The drone attack last week, the USS Carney guided missile cruiser, which was operating in the northern Red Sea, shot down 4 of the cruise missiles, while a 5th cruise missile was intercepted by Saudi Arabia as it protected its airspace, according to people familiar with the episode. So Saudi Arabia shot down 1 cruise missile, and it looks like our USS Carney shot down 4. And I thought this was just a drone attack, but it turned out there was cruise missiles shot at us. So this is really picking up right now, folks. In Yemen, the Iranian-backed Houthis also fired 5 Iranian-provided cruise missiles and launched about 30 drones towards Israel, an attack that was larger than initially described by the Pentagon. Now, I know folks want me to stick to crypto. I'm sorry, we can't just stick to crypto. We have to understand what's taking place. This war, to me, doesn't look like it's slowing down, and that's a concern. That's the real concern, is how soon are we going to bring peace? I'm not concerned, I want this thing to settle up so my stocks can go back up. That's not my concern for me. My main concern is the loss of human life and the fact that our country's going bankrupt and we're losing our respect on the world stage. That's what I worry about. And then, of course, our good men and women are under attack right now. And then we have skirmishes that are spreading rapidly, right? This is spreading, contagion. And we got a situation in Ukraine. We got this situation in the Middle East. We have other skirmishes. We have Taiwan. We have internal chaos. And we're broke. It's the best of all worlds. Right. And so we're going to be really watching what happens here, because the first action that our new Speaker of the House says, and remember, he's already saying that this is biblical. The first action that he's saying is supporting Israel with, I don't know what that means, a new bill, a new spending package. We're essentially, running with no limit on our debt limit. So I guess let's just run up the tab is the mentality that we're going with right now. And we're going to be approaching another shutdown here before too long. Remember, we only had a 45-day extension, so we're going to have the shutdown drama taking place once again, but we're going to make sure the first action, according to the new Speaker of the House, is going to be getting support to Israel. So I find that interesting. We're going to be watching that one. Another article right here, folks. This is why we know they're getting so desperate. This is the head, was on the front page of Market Watch today. Fear not. U.S. recessions don't last long, and they can be favorable entry points for stocks, says B of A. So they're already trying to get you to buy stocks when stocks haven't even corrected in any sort of major way, right? We've been talking about how equities are lagging. We've been talking about how real estate's lagging. We've been laughing and also crying because our crypto's been sacrificed. But what are you talking about? Buy stocks. We have a long ways to go. And oh, by the way, this is coming from Bank of America, which has $131 billion of unrealized losses on their bonds. So how's your program working out? For B of A, not so well. But I guess when you're systemically important and you got the green light from Janet No Tellin' Yellen, she is telling you that you have the backstop. So maybe Bank of America and their CEO has been making some bold statements as of late. And I just asked the question with Bank of America. That partnership with Ripple goes back for years. Always been interesting to me. A much talked about U.S. recession has yet to arrive after more than a year of forecasts and speculation. Let me tell you what, this is the problem. No. And we just cut that article off right there. We are in a recession. We are in a contraction. Anyone who understands, who is in the main street, who operates a business, who's buying groceries, who's filling up their car, who's going to renew their lease, who's going to buy a house, right? You understand that we are living through more than 3.7% CPI-lie inflation. You understand that the GDP being at 2% is because we're paying more for the same products and services. We are not growing. We are spending more money for the same crap, or, for the legitimate stuff that they want to strip out of the CPI inflation data. The super core Paul Krugman, CNBC talking head, right, who says we're going to run with the super core, which strips food, shelter, energy, and used cars. What's left that matters, right? And so this is the problem. Folks are willing to pay a little bit more for their Netflix subscription until they just cancel it because they can't afford it. But right now, what you're seeing is the necessities. And we got the report earlier this week that for 20% of Americans, 80% of their expenses are going towards the necessities. So meaning they have no money left over, which we already knew that. We already know that 70% of America is dang near paycheck to paycheck. And the problem now is that the asset bubbles, right? You can call it the everything bubble, or we just look at every, asset class that got inflated based off of cheap debt. That's been rug pulled. And that's why we haven't even started to correct in stocks yet. And I find it hilarious that Bank of America is telling us that now is a great time to buy the dip. And it is. I mean, they are right on that. And they're going to be doing that along with others. The billionaires and the banksters will be readjusting and, writing off, what they can here. And what I'm waiting for to see here is who is left standing from this banking crisis that is not over at all. Now, we got new data came out here today. We're going to take a look at this. U.S. new home sales just defied gravity. Oh boy, they love this. Surging to highest level since February of 2022. Okay. Do you want the quick answer? The quick answer is that builders are offloading supply. That's the reason why new home sales just defied gravity, is because the builders are offloading supply with a bunch of incentives, lifetime rate buy downs, and anything that they can do to get you to sign on to that new home. And depending on the price point, they're offering even lower interest rates. Like I said, they're doing temporary buy downs, and then they're also doing full-time buy downs, full-time, 30% or 30-year rate buy downs, essentially, where you're just knocking 40, 50 grand off the top line price is what that is. But it doesn't get reported as a decline in price. It's in the form of a different, incentive in a rate buy down. But that's the kind of the long and the short of it. But obviously, the news here today, the markets and the talking heads love this. And this makes sense. This totally makes sense. This isn't a sign of strength, though, is what I'm saying, right? This is a lot of construction, and this is a picture right here of D.R. Horton, the largest home builder in the United States, doing these new townhomes. And a lot of these projects have been is debt that was locked in last year or earlier this year that is now going to go to completion. But if you talk to the bankers and you talk to the mortgage lenders, their pipelines are about dried up, and we've seen mortgage demand fall off. But the reason why the sales are up, right, is because that's all that's left. The existing homes, the folks want too much. U.S. new home sales rose 12.3% to an annual rate of 759,000 in September from a revised 676,000 in the prior month. The number is seasonally adjusted and refers to how many homes would be built over an entire year if builders continue at the same pace every month. This pace exceeded expectations on Wall Street. Economists had forecast new home sales to total 680,000 in September. And this is the top line that I skipped over. Sales of newly built homes in the U.S. surged in September as aspiring homeowners unable to find inventory in resale homes. See, folks don't want to drop price. And they know that they got the golden handcuffs on them in their 3 and 4% mortgage rate. So they can't give up that mortgage. That mortgage is an asset for them. And it's also, and even if it's not an asset because they still relatively are break even with no equity, the payment is very valuable. And that's a low payment at that 2, 3, 4% mortgage rate, which is why the resale homes are not dropping prices fast. They can't offer the incentives like the builders can. So the builders keeping it afloat. That is what that data confirms here today. But we look across here, this is a worldwide situation that's really breaking down faster in other countries. And so China is imploding right now. China is experiencing a USD funding crisis similar to the rest of the emerging world. She was forced to visit the People's Bank of China and SAFE for the first time ever yesterday. China's banking system is in free fall, and Xi has been forced to sell U.S. Treasury bonds and U.S. stocks to stem the decline in Chinese USD balances globally and to defend the Chinese renminbi. Chinese SAFE has been lending USD balances to Chinese banks instructed to protect the Chinese currency. They're doing everything they can in a move reminiscent of the South Korea in 1998. China is running desperately low on its USD balances due to its aggressive state-run market intervention. The Korean crisis was caused by the government hiding the fact that they were using their USD reserves to prop up the Korean won by lending them to the Korean banks to maintain an artificial exchange rate. Investment decisions were made on political grounds as opposed to economic grounds. Korea lied to the world about its FX reserves and suffered a 95% decline in its currency, along with massive USD defaults across its corporate and government sectors. China is doing the same now with the RMB and HKD, that's the Hong Kong dollar. Expect more forced selling of U.S. stocks and bonds by Chinese institutions. And the data is confirmed right here, folks. This headline here from, what is this? The Financial Times. Chinese investor sales of U.S. stocks and bonds hit 4-year high. They are dumping U.S. stocks and bonds at a record that we haven't seen in a long time. They're dumping bonds, and as a matter of fact, it's even worse than that. This headline right here doesn't capture all of it. Chinese investor sales of U.S. stocks and bonds hit 4-year high. Yeah, that's when you combine stocks and bonds. But when you look at the bonds in particular, guys, it's way worse. It is way worse, okay? But expect more forced selling of U.S. stocks. It's like the worst that we've seen in decades. Expect more forced selling of U.S. stocks and bonds by Chinese institutions. Remember, in an angry knee-jerk reaction, Xi sloppily fired the head of the People's Bank of China, Yi Gang, at the 20th Party Congress in October 2022. Yi Gang also lost his seat on the CCP's Central Committee. He was reappointed as central bank head a few weeks later, but fired again in July of 2023. Just imagine how the world would react if we abruptly fired Jerome Powell, rehired him, and fired him again a few months later. That would be something to talk about here in the U.S., wouldn't it? Xi is panicking. China is experiencing massive financial instability, both a liquidity and a solvency crisis. Boy, haven't we been saying, right? You have a debt, currency, and liquidity crisis. Both a liquidity and a solvency crisis in Chinese real estate, which immediately precipitated a banking crisis given the levels of leverage to the property sector. Be prepared for the large currency breaks and additional global instability. Number go down. This is going to have a huge impact. Now, Country Garden, one of the biggest, along with Evergrande filing for bankruptcy. You guys already know that deal. And 25% of China's GDP, I believe, is coming from the real estate sector, and it was way over leveraged. They're now knocking down these ghost cities. They're just taking them down. Right, these are cities that actually got built out but never filled in. I heard today, actually, I was listening to Daniela DiMartino Booth on Grant Cardone's podcast, and she was saying that there's some folks that are speculating estimates. I don't know who's saying this, how valid this is, but there's some concerns that China may be overestimating their population by 100 million. Now, that's incredible. I can't prove that, but nonetheless, it's very hard to get good data out of that country. That's all I'm going to say. While I wear my red today, that's all I'm going to say. I don't want to speak further on that country. Let's get right on into it, though. We have this, folks. They are giving them a little slap on the wrist fine, the SEC to BlackRock, with failing to disclose investments. So this comes with just a little slap on the wrist fine, $2.5 million penalty. The SEC orders fines that from 2015 to 2019, BlackRock Multi-Sector Income Trust made significant investments through a lending facility in Avron Group LLC. Avron is a company that developed print and advertising plans for 1 to 2 films per year. The order adds that in many of BIT's annual and semi-annual reports that were publicly available to investors and filed with the SEC, BlackRock inaccurately described Avron as a diversified financial services company. In response to the order, BlackRock agreed to a cease and desist order and a censure in addition to the monetary penalty. However, the company did not admit or deny the SEC's findings. So apparently they are a company that all they do is develop print and advertising plans for 1 to 2 films per year. And BlackRock described them as a diversified financial services company. And a little $2.5 million fine slap on the wrist paid to the SEC. I wonder how much they made on this bet, though. That's the real question, right? Whatever this deal was about, this company that did develop print and advertising plans for 1 to 2 films per year. Retail and institutional investors rely on accurate disclosures of the companies that make up a closed-end or mutual funds portfolio to evaluate a current or prospective investment in the fund, said Andrew Dean, co-chief of the Enforcement Division's Asset Management Unit. Boy, don't they have some incredible titles. They got to feel so important. Investment advisors have a responsibility to provide this vital information, and BlackRock failed to do so with the Avron investment. And so you can see, the SEC, they're trying to get more budget, more manpower, and they're looking to go after everyone from the big boys, even BlackRock, they're buddies, right? A little pay to play here. They probably made, all sorts of money, or maybe they did lose some money. And the SEC is really concerned about protecting BlackRock investors. The problem is that, most of the funds for BlackRock, the 10 trillion assets under management that they once had, I think they're down to about 9 or 8 trillion assets under management. A lot of the funds that they're collecting are from pensions, 401ks, municipal, city pension plans, state pension plans, you name it. Big worker unions, all sorts of big money like that has funneled to BlackRock. And so today we get to see a little settlement with the SEC, little slap on the wrist. Isn't that cute? Speaking of deals and corruption and Mr. Joseph Lubin robbing his earliest employees of the value of stock awards that drew them to the blockchain firm, ex-workers allege, right? So we get this claim here that Ethereum co-founder Joseph Lubin basically robbed his early employees of stock rewards. And Steven Narioff, our good friend and Ethereum whistleblower, comes in here. Of course he did. That's why I left after co-creating Consensus. I didn't trust him. We may be able to help each other. They're lucky. He only robbed them. He tried to have me in prison for decades. What a great guy. Crypto, why aren't you covering my story? Bloomberg Crypto. I didn't know that Bloomberg Crypto had the @crypto handle. That's pretty slick by Bloomberg Crypto there. Nice pickup. Crypto Elbow Joe on the hashtag. Love to see it. Good question. Where is the mainstream media? I was listening to a space today and someone commented that no one's talking about ETHgate really. And, other than a couple, YouTubers and stuff that are keeping it going. I know I am. I don't try to beat a dead horse, but we have to fight for a level playing field. And even, like I said, after the SEC settles up with Ripple potentially, I still don't think that we're gonna have to just back off and lay down because we've been under attack at every phase here. And what we have is clear corruption. We have folks that are willing to blow the whistle, and we have a lot of folks that are scared to blow the whistle. And it's time to bring the truth forward. We need accountability. And it's an absolute joke that we get this slap on the wrist fine for BlackRock. Meanwhile, we can't get a straight answer out of Gary Gensler when it comes to BlackRock spot Bitcoin ETF. Now, what we get out of Larry Fink is that cryptocurrencies are going to transcend traditional currencies, which, back to a point I made earlier, I've been listening to the Bitcoin maxis, and I find it hilarious. And I think, this must be how folks think of us in the XRP community when we're talking about all these crazy ideas in the XRP community, because I'm listening to these Bitcoin guys, and they really don't understand how hard they're about to get dumped on. And the broader crypto market will get pulled back, and so will XRP most likely, in my opinion. That's what I think is coming here shortly, because I think that the SEC is going to delay once again, or if they do approve, it's going to be a buy the rumor, sell the news, and we're going to get a massive liquidation event to follow. And I think that the Bitcoin narratives that I'm hearing and this religion that's being spouted on a daily basis, it's pretty amusing sometimes to listen in on that, but it's still going on. And I just think, well, we have trillions of dollars to actually move on a daily basis. Bitcoin can't do that. We do have trillions of dollars that are in store of value assets, but a lot of folks, put them into store of value assets that do have additional utility too, like gold, right? And so for me, it's an interesting pitch here, well over a decade of this Bitcoin experience. And it's pretty funny to me because this is what's so shocking. The amount of smart or who I thought was smart and definitely rich. I'm seeing all sorts of folks that are very well off, big money guys who are all in on Bitcoin and literally shut down folks trying to talk about altcoins or XRP, even though one guy in particular, I got to admit, owned XRP, which I've gotten, every time I've asked these folks, they all own XRP. They all have a moon bag of XRP, but they don't want to talk about alts. I'm just like, well, but it's just, it's pretty incredible to me how many rich, sophisticated, and I thought smart investors are like only into Bitcoin. They're the only Bitcoin crowd. It's pretty incredible. Nonetheless, what we see right now is the crypto space is getting exposed. And I've been saying we need to clean this space out. This is going to be a rough patch. We got to get through it. We got to rip the Band-Aid off. Part of that is what we're seeing here today. Hail Mary is what Jeremy Hogan describes this as. Sam Bankman-Fried to testify in fraud trial after onslaught from Inner Circle. So this guy has been completely ratted out by his Inner Circle. Now the defense sending out a Hail Mary is how Jeremy Hogan describes it. And he is going to be testifying in his own case here. Very interesting. On the other side of the market maker manipulators, Binance temporarily halts crypto withdrawals due to a technical issue. And CZ did put out a notice today. He said it was, some issue, no big deal. Funds are safe, nothing to worry about. But, remember what we've always said. These exchanges are not your friends, and we continue to see them going bust. We continue to see the corruption, the collusion that was happening at Sam Bankman-Fried's operation get exposed. And all the meanwhile, we're waiting for the real utility to come about. And this is what's getting so frustrating, is that we get another delay in the matter of the ISO 20022 rollout or transition. The European Payments Council, SEPA, postpones the migration of the SEPA payment schemes to the 2019 version of ISO 20022 to Sunday, the 17th of March, 2024. Some market participants were apparently unable to ensure the changeover in the coming month. And this is coming from the European Payments Council. And what I find so funny, guys, is this is the 2019 version of ISO 20022. This standard has been in place for a long time. But we have folks that still haven't been able to make it to the 2019 version of ISO 20022. And the other thing that confirms is that this has been in the works for a long time. And a great example of that is I was speaking with Jay from Spend the Bits, and I was speaking with him in XRP Vegas, And he was talking about how, he's basically been helping banks in Canada implement ISO on the back end of their systems for the last year. So he's really doing it. He's also building out Spend the Bits, building out real utility on the XRP ledger, which huge shout out to Jay for doing that. And I believe John Deaton actually just invested in Spend the Bits or became a partner of some sort. And so, I love to see that. But Jay confirmed, that, yeah, this has been going on for a long time. It's just some of these big groups, here we go again with another delay. And you recall, right, that people forget. We were talking about this back in August of 2022. I believe we got the initial dates for, it was August 2022. Swift members could opt into ISO 2022 messages in August of last year. That's right. Now we had the November date of last year that got pushed back. We had the March date of this year. A lot of folks rolled out. We had the was going to be the November date, right? Right. I think the flip of the switch here was going to be in November. And I think that's another target date. But the full end timeline date is 2025, which goes to show that we could see another speculation pump here beginning before we get to full utility, before we even get all of the systems updated to ISO 222 messages, which is the bare minimum, right? But we have another delay there. That's frustrating. So we're going to be watching to see what groups do roll over to ISO 222 in November of this year. But we've been talking about this since August of last year. I remember telling folks, remember, just because they're saying this date doesn't mean that they're not already opting in. Well, now we come to find out that a lot of them still haven't opted in, and now they're pushing back to March of next year. Full timeline is 2025. So we'll be watching that. Now, a timeline that has been pushed back, has been stalled up, has been in the middle of a lawsuit, has been this XRP Ripple timeline. But something just happened that's going to speed up the timeline. And I dropped a video earlier today. I'm getting incredible feedback on it. Hopefully you guys have checked it out. And I talk about here a key partnership towards the Ripple XRP endgame was just made yesterday. And that was the big news with Uphold announcing a partnership with Ripple to enhance the underlying crypto liquidity infrastructure. I've been waiting for this announcement to come out ever since I interviewed Simon McLaughlin, CEO of Uphold, back in August. Now the news comes out, and this is so exciting to see because Uphold, what they're doing is so powerful. Such a great platform. I'm not a sponsor. I do have an affiliate link for Uphold. If you want to buy your XRP through Uphold, that is great. And I'm going to folks really loved the video this morning. I think it was about 11 minutes long. I explained a little bit in a little bit more depth why this was important. And then I played about 2 minutes of clips for my interview with Simon and how, some of his predictions did play out, really well. But then he also talked about what they're trying to do with Uphold is allow folks to invest in equities and private equity potentially on the Uphold platform. And I don't know if he necessarily said private equity. He said equities. And he wants you to be able to go from your stocks to your crypto, your stocks to precious metals. And in the interview, I said, I'm a big fan of silver. And I love how on your platform, you can get exposure to all these different sorts of things, unlike a traditional cryptocurrency exchange. And what matters most is liquidity. And that's where Uphold has separated themselves from the rest of the crypto exchanges because they're not an exchange. They're a prime broker. And they got their broker-dealer license to list equities and securities as well. So they're going to be able to list, you're going to be able to have everything from your stocks to your crypto to your precious metals on that Uphold platform. And as I mentioned too, they have the Uphold Vault platform that's rolling out. So if you want to take self-custody, you can. You don't have to just rely on Uphold, the exchange, to custody your assets. As I just reported on with Binance, these exchanges are not your friends. And even with Uphold, we want to trust them, but we got to verify. And we got to buy our cryptos and most likely pull them off of the exchange because we don't really keep our long-term positions on exchanges. But this was a major announcement. And what I am so excited to see here, and this is the key point. Why is this so important? Because this is the U.S. nexus for institutional investors and institutional sales by Ripple. Remember, Judge Torres ruled July 13th that institutional sales were a security. That created a problem. Someone asked David Schwartz the question. Mr. B XRP shared it. Huge shout out to Mr. B. For anyone who didn't understand the gravity of today's news, Ripple partnering with Uphold solves this. So simple. Are ODL-related sales now considered securities? David responds, we're still figuring this out. We don't currently have ODL-related sales with a U.S. nexus. That's what this is, folks. Who has remained selling XRP to U.S. investors this whole lawsuit? Uphold. I love that name too. Upholding everything that's great and righteous, including selling us XRP the whole damn lawsuit. Amen. God bless them. And not being able to do so is not really a huge deal. We can still do ODL in the US so long as XRP is never sourced from Ripple. So remember, they already got the green light for ODL not being a security. We already got that. We already got the green light that our XRP sales and trades are not a security either. We have full clarity on XRP in and of itself not being a security in any form or shape. All that was deemed to be a security was specific contracts between Ripple and institutions that wanted to buy huge amounts of XRP, and so Ripple attached lockup periods and other stipulations to those contracts. Now, I believe that Ripple will now have the green light through programmatic sales, and by partnering up with an institution like Uphold, they can partner with them and they can on-ramp any institution or partner in the US that needs to find someone to work with. That is one part of this deal. Now, Uphold already has incredible liquidity on their platform, relationships with about 30 exchanges and dealers for moving. And like I said, they got their broker-dealer license. So eventually, they're going to have securities, equities listed on their platforms as well. Buy your stocks, buy your precious metals, buy your cryptocurrency. They're going to give you access to, probably tap into the AMM. I believe that that'll be coming, right? And I'm not here to shill Uphold. I'm just here to say why this is going to be. This is the transformation of the financial system to a more level playing field, where you and I have the ability to, really control our investment future. Now, the other part of that is actually taking the time to learn, educate ourselves to understand what investments to make. For me, it's been very clear, and this flight to quality has been very clear. And I respect Bitcoin. I really respect gold and silver. I really respect oil, an essential commodity to run this world. And so it doesn't surprise me to see all of these pumping. Now, what do we see too? Bitcoin pumping off of hype, pumping off of narrative. And this is why I just urge to our community, caution. But where we're on this timeline right now is you're starting to see the veils getting lifted. I've always talked about this. The veil is beginning to be lifted, and now you can kind of see underneath. You can see what the next act is going to be. You can see what the Ripple XRP endgame is going to be. There is nothing that can stop what is happening right here with Ripple's success, and now it's coming back to the United States. Conversations that they've already had, but they were treated as a sick patient and nobody wanted to touch Ripple. Now, no. They're about to be the cleanest shirt in the closet, but they're also coming out there to hold the hand of the institutions, and they're going to be the darling of the cryptocurrency space after defeating the SEC. And I was listening to a clip from Jeremy Hogan and his wife on John Deaton's show yesterday. And Jeremy Hogan made a very, very bold prediction, predicting that Ripple was going to appeal the institutional sales, and they're going to use the blue sky laws on that to basically appeal the ruling from Judge Torres on institutional sales too. Remember, that's the only thing that Ripple's taken a loss on. And Jeremy Hogan actually predicted that we could potentially see Ripple appeal that ruling and win and get a complete victory on all points. That was the bold prediction yesterday from Jeremy. His wife, they were in consensus that this does increase the odds of a settlement significantly, as I've been saying. Now, I wanted my September settlement. I wanted my 2022 settlement. I wanted my 2021 settlement. I've been hoping and praying for a settlement since the beginning of this lawsuit. And I thought this whole thing was staged from the very beginning, which is why I've always believed and leaned towards a settlement prediction and speculation. And now here we are. And now we have the winning hand. It's a royal flush. We cannot be beat. And the only thing that stops Ripple from going on appeal would be a settlement where they do agree that, okay, some of these are, and where I believe that settlement comes in is Ripple's going to argue, listen, if you give us the ODL sales, we're not securities, then we'll settle up on that. But we think that the ODL sales don't constitute an investment contract. So let us settle up or at least pay fines on the ones that weren't ODL and or even less. But we know also, remember that hidden ace up the sleeve that Ripple has in the form of ETHgate and all the work that we've put in to expose the SEC completely. That agency is done as we know it, right? And I can't wait to see, hopefully we will start to rein in all of these three-letter agencies, right? They are burdensome, they are hurdles to the American people, and the regulations, although with good intentions, often cause more harm than they do good. And in today's day of the internet and decentralized media and how quickly word of mouth spreads, I believe in free market and I believe in decentralized media, decentralized justice, and bad actors will get exposed in today's society. So I am a firm believer that the regulators, like I said, with good intentions, need to get the hell out of the way because they most of the time are just providing unnecessary burden on industry, on business, and that's not what we want here in the United States. Most folks aren't out to harm, damage, or do the wrong thing, right? But unnecessary red tape is definitely restricting the American people, and what they're trying to do right now is hire more IRS, more SEC. They want to launch into the next phase of Operation Choke Point, and there's going to be plenty of cryptocurrency projects that they'll be able to go after. But this is why I say watch out, because the SEC and Wall Street and the big boys and the puppet strings are being pulled right now, and they're setting up the crypto space right now for another sacrifice. I want to go on the record. I know it's not sexy. I know it doesn't get you excited, but I know you guys come to my platform for the truth. And so I'm being honest. I'm not going to put out a clickbait, oh, this is the beginning of the next bull run. I really don't believe that. And I would love for it to be the beginning of the next bull run. Absolutely. And do I think that we go set a new bottom? No, we don't necessarily have to do that. And let me take some of you guys' questions, comments. Thank you so much for coming in here. I'll pull back up the chart here. This is your Bitcoin chart. Bitcoin dominance chart back up here. And everybody's flowing back into Bitcoin because their alts are bleeding out. Alts are taking a beating. Now Bitcoin back up here, 34,787, climbing back up. How are we doing tonight, everyone? Good to see all of you guys. A lot of familiar faces. God bless all of you guys. We get a 5 spot from Daniel. Is that Daniel from Casino Coin? Daniel, I appreciate the 5 spot. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the support. Now let's sit back. Let's take some Q&A. I'm going to sip on an adult beverage. Appreciate everyone for stopping by here. If you haven't already, let's smash it. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit that notification bell. If you're new here, please understand every once in a while, I fire up a live show and I rant for an hour. 45 minutes to an hour is usually what I run. And we go through all the news. We break down all of the different situations, and I try to touch on most of the asset classes. In this case, we touched on all of them. We touched on equities. We touched on real estate. We touched on crypto, as always. And the title was America, World War III, and XRP. And to me, this is all tied together. We have America spread too thin. It's a falling empire. We have World War III breaking out. And this is part of where we're going to get, in trouble here, is that we've spread ourselves so thin, and now we're literally fighting against our own weapons and our own money. Our money, our weapons have ended up into the hands of folks that are now attacking us. And I shared the Wall Street Journal article earlier here in the show that we now have militia groups. We now have groups throughout the region that are attacking our bases in Iraq, in Syria. And I know that not everybody wants some clickbait, hopium. This is the beginning of the next bull run. XRP is about to go to something nice. And I believe that is the case. The timeline, if I had to be honest, like I said, is not yet. That's where we're at. I remain incredibly bullish on this space. And to me, XRP and these other utility cryptocurrencies are going to eat up a lot of liquidity that comes into the space over the next decade. Over the next speculation bull run, seeing XRP at a double-digit price will not surprise me. And seeing the crazy mania that incurs in the XRP community, I don't even know if I'm ready for that. It's not going to be a surprise. I'm trying to prepare myself, but it's going to be an emotional roller coaster for many folks who are going to be coming into their first big bags, or a bag that means a little something different during a bear market recession and a tough go at it on the Main Street economy level. And that's why I cover all of the current events, bringing it back down to the issues that matter. I can't just serve up hopium every single day, quick little, 1 minute, 3-minute videos, hopium clickbait, let's pump it, let's confirm the next bull run. That's not where we're at. That's not where we're at. And that's why you guys keep coming back, because I'm here to stay true to you guys. Appreciate all the support. Let's do some Q&A. A-Prod, 5-spot. Wouldn't ETF BTC come from over-the-counter, hence not moving the price up? Well, that's the thing, is a lot of the institutions that would be, doing the ETFs, they probably would be picking that Bitcoin up over-the-counter. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, that could have an impact on price somewhat, though, just because you're eating up available supply. Because right now with Bitcoin, you have new Bitcoin that's coming from the miners, but then other than that, you have, what is the circulating supply on Bitcoin right now? And obviously it's a lot less, because the number that's reported as circulating is not the actual number. 19 million. Yeah, there's some estimates that there's 2-3 million plus that are lost forever. So there's 19 circulating. There's probably actually, 15 million circulating, maybe even less. And there's a lot of long-term holders that are going to be holding for much higher prices, just like with XRP. So true circulating supply is a lot less. And so that's why Bitcoin can get moved up here dramatically, is there's already a lot of liquidity in it. And what's really messing with a lot of people psychologically is they're seeing Bitcoin go up thousands of dollars in a day. And they don't understand. And even when they hear that that's a manipulated move, that's 100% coordinated manipulation, they still don't realize what that is, right? Like how powerful that is, and what that does psychologically when you see that an asset moves up $3,000 in a day versus XRP moves up 5 cents. That really messes with a lot of people. And when you look at and compare the market caps, right? Remember, market cap is kind of a myth. It's one way to calculate equities and cryptocurrencies, sure. Commodities, it is one metric, one data point. There are some flaws to it. That liquidity that you see flowing into Bitcoin and moving it all up, you track it back to these flows of Tether. You track it back to these flows of a new stablecoin that's still being created every single week. And that's what's been incredible to see in the cryptocurrency space, is like people are seeing what the SEC is doing. They're seeing what all of the other regulators are doing. They're still launching new stablecoins. These exchanges have no shame. They're still doing all sorts of manipulation. Tether's still getting printed massively. They have no shame. And it's almost as if it's like the final go at it, right? Try to take the money and run. And that's why we see a big push up here to 35,000 for Bitcoin, based off of the hype speculation narrative that an ETF is going to be approved. If an ETF was going to be approved, it could happen at any time, but we did reach a deadline in the middle of the month here, and that was October 16th and 17th, when we had, answers on basically 6 of the pending ETFs. And we didn't get an answer. So there is another deadline, I believe, that's coming up here towards the end of the month, and then another one maybe in November. I think there's one ETF that gets a response in November. And then after that, we're stuck waiting till January. And when you look at the crypto bills too, it looks like we're not even going to get, well, maybe with the Speaker of the House now, we might move a little bit more quickly, but we're going to have a shutdown looming once again. So we might not get a vote on a crypto bill till next year either. That's according to Eleanor Terrett, who has good SEC and Capitol Hill sources. I was listening to her in a space here earlier today. Tony Huggins with the 5 spot. Full moon Saturday, the 2nd this month. Looks like a setup to me. Thanks to you, I see it coming. SBF will testify in his own defense. How interesting. That's so crazy, right? A full 1 year rotation around the sun, or depending on how you look at it. Thank you, Tony, for that, because that's so interesting. 1 year ago, we warned about the coming lunar eclipse in November. 8th was the date. We didn't know who was going to be sacrificed, and sure enough, it was the FTX collapse. That was the day that basically everything started to fall apart at FTX, one of the biggest liquidation events in the history of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And you see now, 1 year later, Sam is now going to take the stand, and we roll right in here and look at what's happened the last week. See, what's happened the last couple, last week, this pump up to 35,000 could be used as further evidence for the SEC to not approve or delay an ETF. I know we want to remain hopeful, and we know that it's just like in the XRP Ripple case. We had the facts and the circumstance on our side. The SEC should approve a spot Bitcoin ETF. They already should have. And the SEC themselves should be demanding Congress to step in and provide clarity on digital assets. They have clarity on what is a security. They can try those cases and they can win in a court of law. And in the case with Ripple, when they tried to extend themselves, they got shut down by Judge Torres. Historical beatdown from Judge Torres. Put in their place by Judge Torres. And the SEC themselves did surrender. They had to get smacked. And sometimes that's what you got to do with a bully. And this is why I get so excited and passionate about the fight that we're putting up, is we are having an impact. We are smacking the bully. And it's about time. Johnny Laker, I see you with the 5 spot. I think the Bitcoin ETF will be approved and bought in a crash and brought in a crash where they buy up Bitcoin cheaper. Because that's the thing is, yeah, they're going to have to load up their positions on those Bitcoin ETFs. And so I understand why folks are saying that it's going to bring, demand to Bitcoin. But a lot of them have probably already been making a move. And you also have to understand that this allows, it allows exchanges to go naked short on Bitcoin as well. As insurance policies, they get to go short to cover their positions. And I covered this a couple shows ago. It was Castilla Bank. I want to say it's not Monica Long. That's the president of Ripple. I'm blanking on her name. She's the one that made the bank out of Wyoming. Maybe one of you guys can remind me in the comments who I'm thinking of. I'm blanking on her name. But she wrote the article on this. And we covered it a couple episodes ago, how they can go naked short now on Bitcoin futures and the price of Bitcoin as a hedge and as an insurance. That's what's also included in, spot ETF approvals. And it's just like what happened with the Bitcoin futures that were approved. When the CME approved the Bitcoin futures with the CFTC, the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, they bragged about how they popped the Bitcoin bubble back in 2017, 2018 by approving the futures. And so now we see the same thing coming up here. And the other thing too that I've shown is that we are in the middle of a bullish move, 100%, undeniable. And this is where folks get so wrecked in crypto, is because it moves so dramatically. Moving into a bullish move, is 20% plus. And we have done 127% for Bitcoin, from 15,500 essentially up to 35,200. Now, when I first started showing the chart back in 2019 that did a 342% bull trap rally during 2019, we went up a lot of the year, only to get simulation event sacrificed in March of 2020 back down to 3,000, 3,600, 3,700, 3,400, depending on what exchange you use. So from 3,000 to 13,000, 342% bull trap rally, 2019. We're all going to make it. Killed. March 2020, back down to 3,000. And now we are in the middle of a 127% rally in the second year of a bear market as we approach the Bitcoin halving coming up in April of next year. Now, crypto got killed, right? Back down to 3,000, absolutely cleaned out. And then we began the next bull run right before, it was basically in March, right before the Bitcoin halving in April. So I am watching and I'm remaining careful and vigilant. And I've been warning our community this whole time here that I see something similar playing out. Another simulation event. Look what's taking place. We just got Black Swan with the Israel situation. We have internal chaos here back home. We have an election cycle. We have a new speaker. Things are getting shaken up. There's plenty of events that could be used as an excuse to open back up Powell's Pandora's box, to cut rates again, turn back on the money printer, and turn back on risk in a major way. But before we get that, before we get to open up Powell's Pandora's box, we get killed first, or we get cleaned out. If they take it nicely on us, we don't know what's going to happen here, right? This is still a developing situation with the Middle East crisis and the World War III, and we are still waiting for crypto regulations to take place. And as I just reported in tonight's live, they're extending ISO 222 rollout for European Payments Council, SEPA, until March of next year. The deadline was going to be November. Now they're pushing it back out till March. That's just one group, but it's one part of a delayed timeline. And I was thinking about this today. So many of us have gotten the timeline wrong. And in all honesty, the only folks that have gotten the timeline wrong are those who are bold enough to actually make a prediction. See, most folks don't want to make a prediction. They don't want to put their neck out on the line. And I'm not scared to do that. I don't shy away from any of those conversations ever. Do I try to remain conservative? And have I learned lessons in this timeline? Yes. But everybody else who is actually willing to lay it all out there and make a prediction on the timeline has pretty much been wrong because of the events that unfolded over the last 3 years. No matter who you were and what prediction you were making, your timeline got messed up because we got thrown a curveball by the world, by the puppeteers, whoever's running this simulation, call it what you would, whatever. And for us, I keep on reminding everyone, have we gotten the timeline wrong? Has it been extended? Yes. Is everything still at play? You bet. Have we been vindicated on our thesis, on our hypothesis? You betcha. In a major way. Will this be reflected in price action? Eventually. I wish I could give you the exact date. I can't do that. But we are watching our dates, we are watching our timeline, and I am willing to throw it on out there. And folks don't like it. We probably already had some folks smash the thumbs down tonight because I said this is a bull trap rally. I understand how painful that is to accept when we are hoping and praying that the next bull run will begin because we're tapped out. This is a real recession. Even though they're saying that, it's all good. Bidenomics is strong. GDP growth is 2%. Inflation's cooling. America's winning. Have a good time. So I hope that you guys got some value out of tonight's episode. I know these ones run a little bit longer. I hope it gives you an opportunity to understand where I come from on a deeper level on all of these issues. Remember, I'm not here to pick a side. I'm here to have a winning program. I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to be effective. And I put everything that I can out there. I try to be as transparent as possible. You guys know me. I don't have any sponsors. I don't do shill. I have a couple affiliate links. If you want some precious metals, we got you covered. We got exchanges, we got cryptocurrency, and I have a private group where I offer additional content. And if you want to get in touch with me, we're having conversations on a weekly basis on what's taking place and how this situation is developing and the investments that we're making, the deals that we're making. A Prod, another 5 spot. Appreciate you, my friend. Funny story. I learned about XRP on this very show, then did my own research, never looked back. Thank you, sir. That's what it's about. I've earned a lot of trust from you guys, but as I always say, we trust but verify. I work my butt off to earn your guys' trust, and I try to show up every single day and just, put forward as much effort as possible to get this message out. And I appreciate you guys for sharing the content. I appreciate your guys' support. There's a few ways to support the show. Like I said, you just use our affiliate links down below or at my website, ZachRector.com. And if you want to get tapped into the private group, it's a way to support the show and what I'm doing, but it's also a way to get some more value and additional content as well. I appreciate all of you guys so much. It's been an absolute pleasure here tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. On the way out, if you haven't already, let's smash it. Let's react to it. Drop a comment down below. Let me know how you really feel. And we'll be watching this closely. I got more content dropping for you tomorrow. So make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next one. God bless all of you guys. Stay safe, stay ready.